All right, so when we talk about the AI boom, there's really one name that just pops into everyone's head, right? Nvidia. Their chips are the stuff of legend, powering basically everything from ChatGPT to the next generation of self-driving cars. But what if I told you their real competitive advantage, their actual unbreachable fortress, isn't built from silicon at all?
I mean, you've heard of the H100, the brand new Blackwell B200. These things are absolute monsters of performance. But is that really where NVIDIA's power comes from? Is the silicon their sharpest sword in these AI wars? The answer? Well, it might just surprise you.
Because the real story, the secret sauce to their, near total domination of the market, it's a masterclass in software strategy that's been quietly playing out for almost 20 years, mostly behind the scenes.
So to really get this, we've got to look beyond the chip. Yeah, the hardware is incredible, no doubt about it, but it's just the tip of a very, very deep iceberg. Yeah, we need to dive right into the code. See, for the last 2 decades, Nvidia has been meticulously building this software foundation that's become the invisible standard for all of AI development, a foundation that, today, is nearly impossible to escape from. And that foundation, the real moat that protects Nvidia's entire kingdom, has a name. It's CUDA. That stands for Compute Unified Device Architecture. Now, it might not sound all that exciting, but trust me, it is the key to everything. And look, this didn't happen overnight, not at all. The timeline here is everything. Think about it. Way back in 2006, CUDA was this tiny niche tool for a few researchers. But then, through the 2010s, it just quietly took over academia. So by the time the AI bomb went off in the 2020s, it was already the default language, the lingua franca for the entire field. And that created this incredibly powerful effect called vendor lock-in. So what is vendor lock-in? It's actually a pretty simple idea. It's when the cost of jumping ship to a competitor is just so ridiculously high. We're talking money, time, and a whole lot of risk that you're basically stuck. You are locked in. And let me tell you, NVIDIA are absolute masters at this. But here's the thing. That CUDA moat, that's just the first wall. Around it, NVIDIA has built this entire multi-layered software fortress with one line of defense after another. Okay, so let's peel back these layers. At the very bottom, you've got these super specialized libraries that just crank up performance. Then you've got proprietary tools like TensorRT, whose entire job is to make AI models run screamingly fast, but only on NVIDIA hardware. On top of that, you have entire platforms like Omniverse for building industrial digital twins, which, you guessed it, only run on their GPUs. And now get this, they're adding these prepackaged AI models called NIMs that make deployment a breeze, as long as you're in their world. And the glue holding it all together? Super aggressive legal agreements. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about a project called Zluda to see just how fiercely they defend this fortress.
So Zluda was this brilliant piece of software. It was basically a translator, a bridge that let CUDA applications run on competitor AMD chips. And the crazy part? It worked. It was getting almost the same speed. This was a huge threat to the moat. But then, boom, the wall goes up. The project's backer, and a lot of people think it was AMD itself, got nervous, pulled all the funding, and basically said, take it down. Why? Well, it all comes back to NVIDIA's license agreements. They straight up forbid this kind of reverse engineering. The legal threat was just way too big for any serious company to risk. It's the perfect example. Even when a technical escape road exists, the legal moat is there to stop you cold.
So you hear this all the time, right? Competitors are shouting, our hardware's catching up, our software's almost there. But when you look at what's actually happening in the market, the reality is completely different. The software gap is still absolutely massive.
And this table really breaks down why that gap is so hard to close. For every mature, rock-solid, industry-standard tool NVIDIA offers, the alternative often has performance issues, or it's a community project, not something a big company can rely on. And for a business, every single one of these little gaps translates directly into higher risk, more money spent, and a longer wait to get their product out the door. It's not about one missing feature, it's the whole integrated package.
But wait, it gets even deeper. The lock-in isn't just about code or lawyers. It's about people. It's become, a cognitive monopoly.
I mean, just look at the difference in developer community size. It tells you everything. If you're a developer and you hit a snag with CUDA, you're minutes away from a fix on Stack Overflow. With AMD's ROCm, you could be stuck for days if you ever find a solution at all. That friction, over thousands of developers, costs a fortune. And this whole cycle, it starts way back in college. Universities are teaching CUDA as the standard, so what happens? Graduates walk into the workforce already wired to think NVIDIA first. This makes it easy to hire people who know CUDA. Finding an expert in a competing system? Good luck. They're rare and they're expensive. Retraining a whole team is a nightmare. So the human pipeline itself just keeps feeding and strengthening that moat.
Okay, so you take all these technical walls, these legal traps, this human factor. What's the end result of it all? It's simple. Incredible, almost unbelievable pricing power. 75%. Let that sink in for a second. That is NVIDIA's gross profit margin. In the world of hardware, where margins are usually razor thin, that number is just staggering. It is the literal price customers are willing to pay for the stability, performance, and peace of mind that the entire ecosystem provides.
Okay, so the obvious question here is, but wait, aren't the other guys' chips cheaper? And yeah, on paper, they often are. But the sticker price is just one tiny piece of the puzzle. It's all about something called total cost of ownership, or TCO.
And this is the TCO trap. That money you think you're saving on cheaper hardware, it gets eaten up and then some, everywhere else. Your super expensive engineers are working slower because the software is flaky. You're bleeding money. Your multi-million-dollar GPUs are just sitting there idle because the software isn't efficient. You're losing money. It all comes down to that classic industry mantra, just updated for our time: nobody ever got fired for buying Nvidia.
So is that it? Is this fortress just completely unbreakable? Are there any cracks starting to show at all?
Well, there is a glimmer of hope for the competition. You've got open source tools like PyTorch and Triton trying to create a sort of universal translation layer to make the hardware underneath interchangeable. But here's the kicker. NVIDIA's already playing chess, while everyone else is playing checkers. They're just moving the lock-in up to a higher level, to these super convenient software services like NIMs. They're making sure that even if the foundation becomes a commodity, their ecosystem is still the easiest, most reliable choice.
And this quote just nails it. It's not just that NVIDIA won the market. They literally defined the entire playing field that the competition is now forced to play on. So in the end, NVIDIA didn't just build a better chip. They built the stadium, they wrote the rulebook, and they trained all the best players. Which leaves us with a really big and frankly critical question. If one company owns the entire game, can anyone else even get on the field?